Problem number 2 for problem set 7. It states how many values of x are there with 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2 pi, such that 2 cosine squared x equals 1 minus cosine 3x. X is in radians. So basically what we can do is just use a lot of trig identities. So the trig identity for 2 cosine squared x is cosine 2x plus x. Trig identity for 1 minus cosine 3x is cosine 2x times cosine x minus sine 2x times sine x. And then we have to use another trig identity for cosine 2x plus x. That would equal 2 cosine squared x. And then equal to 1 minus parentheses cosine squared x minus sine squared x times cosine x, and then minus 2 sine x cosine x times sine x. All the work so far is just using trig identities, and now we're going to distribute and simplify. So 2 cosine squared x plus cosine to the third x minus sine squared x times cosine x minus sine 2 sine squared x times cosine x equals 1. If you're wondering where I got that from, I distributed the sine x to 2 sine and 2 sine times cosine x, so you get this, and you put it on the other side of the equation, so that's why it's minus. And the same for cosine to the third x and sine squared x cosine x. Just distributed it and then brought it to the other side of the equation. Now we're going to distribute, we're going to take out a cosine x of each of these numbers. So it's going to be cosine x times the quantity of 2 cosine x plus cosine squared x minus sine squared x minus 2 sine squared x equals 1. And then we're going to put the 2 sine squareds together. So this will be cosine x times the quantity of 2 cosine x plus cosine squared x minus 3 sine squared x equals 1. And now we want to get all these into cosines. So the trig identity for sine squared x is 1 minus cosine squared x. So in this part right here, we're just going to put 1 minus cosine squared x for 3 sine squared x. And then when you simplify all that, you'll get cosine x times the quantity of 2 cosine x plus cosine squared x minus 3 plus 3 cosine squared x equals 1. And now we're going to distribute the cosine x back. So it's going to be 2 cosine squared x plus 4 cosine to the third x minus 3 cosine x. If you're wondering where I got plus 4 to cosine to the 3x, it's because when you distribute it to both these cosine squareds, they become cosine to the third x. So you just could group them together. And now you just have to bring the 1 over here, so it'll be minus 1. Now, we're going to make cosine x into a variable, so we're just going to make it u. So it's going to be 4u to the third plus 2u squared minus 3u minus 1, which equals 0. Then you're going to take u plus 1 out of this, and then what remains is 4u squared minus 2u minus 1. Now, u plus 1 equals 0 is u minus 1. Minus 1. So minus 1 is one of our answers. Now, in order to get the answers for this right here, we need to use the quadratic formula. So, quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it's going to be 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times negative 1 all over 2 times 4. So it'll be 2 plus or minus square root of 20 all over 8. Then we take 2 square root of 4 out, it'll be 2 plus or minus 2 times square root of 5 all over 8, and then simplify it, and it'll be 1 plus or minus square root of 5 over 4. And that will give us 2 more solutions. So right now we have 3, but to get the last 2 solutions, we need to do pi minus 1 plus square root of 5 over 4 and pi plus 1 minus square root of 5 over 4. That is because of our domain of 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2 pi. So that's why we need to subtract it from pi and add it from pi. So with all those solutions, you get 5 of them.